Hello, this is Carolyn Coleman, and I'm going to do my interview for the Servant Leadership. This is Andrea Stallings. She's a registered nurse. She's been practicing for 14 years.
Hello.
And Andrea, do you give me permission to videotape this and to upload it onto YouTube?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Okay, Andrea, what is your definition of a servant leader?
My definition of a servant leader is a nurse who puts the staff and the organization above the needs of themselves. Like for me and my staff, it would be just putting the needs of my staff members above myself and the organization. Making sure that we all hold ourselves to a higher standard. Um, Everyone respecting and being respectful of each other. Not everyone's the same. Everyone's different. Everybody has different strengths, different weaknesses, and I would take that into account while dealing with each of my staff members. Also, I would have an open door policy for any of my staff members that have needs. If they're having problems at home or if they're having problems at work, anything that they would need to discuss with me, we could sit in my office, and all of my staff know that I believe in God and that I'm a Christian. So I allow my staff to come into my office. I have an open door policy to come in and just talk, and if they want to pray, we can pray together and get everything out in the open if they feel like doing that.
Okay, so our next question is, what are your personal leadership strengths?
I believe that my personal leadership strengths are the fact that I'm objective. I actively listen to my staff, or I try to actively listen to my staff. If they have some suggestions or complaints, or if anything like that, look at both sides. If there are two staff members that are having an issue with each other, I would objectively look at both sides of the situation and talk about with each person what both sides are, and hopefully allow them to work it out among themselves with me kind of being a mediator. Respect is a big thing. Most definitely caring about my staff, and if not just pretending to care, but really truly caring. Because if I really truly care about my staff, my leadership, they will respect me more as a leader.
Hey, Andrea, do you allow for staff members to meet their full potential? And if so, how do you accomplish this goal?
Well, definitely I try to allow for my staff to meet their full potential. I start each day by, we call it a starting lineup, where we all get together at the beginning of a shift before anyone goes and starts their patient care assignments. We go over the assignments for the day. We might throw in a Bible verse or a thought for the day that's positive. And then and then we all kind of cheer each other on. That's just kind of like our cheer period before the day begins. And then at the end of the shift, if we have time, there's always a debriefing where if anyone has anything that they want to talk about their shift, then we do that as well. And for them to meet their full potential, there's all kinds of programs in the hospital that my nurses can be involved in. There's different chapters of nursing. There's different committees that they can serve on. There's different certifications that they can acquire, like ACLS. They can get their advanced certification degree, which the hospital pays for, and that helps them to meet more of their goals, which in turn helps them to be a better nurse for our unit and helps them to meet their potential. And that's basically it. That's basically, how, uh, just, like never asking one of my staff to do something that I would never do myself, um, helps them to know that no matter what stage of your nursing career you're in, um, you just pitch in and do whatever you can to help everybody else, and that helps each other meet their full potential.
So one thing, and I just remember this from being a new nurse myself, what do you, or how do you help the new nurses when they're on the floor? Because they're most tender and most impressionable.
Well, we have a preceptor program, and what we try to do is put the new nurses with a preceptor that kind of matches their personality. You kind of fill out, you know what your stage of what the best way that you learn is, and kind of put that person with a person that would help them to learn at their best ability.
Okay, Andrea, our next question is, how do you handle suggestions and feedback when negotiating changes and improvements?
Well, I think the first thing and the most important thing to that question is the need to say that just because you're a manager, it doesn't mean that you know everything. There may be a lot of your employees that have, very good feedback and suggestions for you. Um, and all people really want to do is be heard. And if they have a suggestion that isn't really what you were anticipating would be best for the organization and for everyone concerned, you would still sit down with them and discuss with them why you chose to use their suggestion or chose not to use their suggestion. Always allow, let your staff know that any feedback, any questions, any suggestions are always encouraged and open. Um, there's a lot of times that people are very resistant to change. People don't like change. People don't want to. It's hard to be around change, and it's hard to change our way of doing things. But change really is a good thing, and if people are allowed to give their suggestions on which way to change things, then they will accept the change easier. So I think that's how I handle suggestions and feedback when I'm negotiating changes, by allowing everyone to voice their opinion, not making people feel like they can't.
Okay. Our last question is, would you describe yourself as a servant leader? And if so, can you give an example of your ability to display this trait?
Well, just like I answered, I think, in one of the previous questions, is that as a leader, you never ask anyone to do something that you would never do yourself. Which for nurses, when you think about a nurse and a nurse leader, and you think about the bedpan, and putting a patient on the bedpan, that's one of the things that nurses like like to delegate to their nursing assistants, is to put people on the bedpan, or to take the time to walk a patient to the bathroom when they've got a million other things that they need to be doing, charting, putting in orders, giving someone a life-saving medication. But it's just important for the patient that needs to go to the bathroom. To them, that's the most important thing in their life right then, which should be the most important thing in our lives for them. And lastly, I think one of the most important traits of being a servant leader is to serve. Getting in there and getting your hands dirty, and working right along with everybody else. I mean, it's what we are created to do as nurses is to serve, and being a servant leader is serving others. Just because I'm a leader doesn't mean I can't get in there and do anything that anybody else does. And that's very important, and it's also important for the staff to see leaders being servant leaders and serving right along with them.
Very good. Thank you, Andrea, for participating in my interview.
You're so welcome.